Hello! Today we'll be looking at what's in this box, but just before we get into that, a quick reminder, please like or dislike this video if you don't like it. Comment down below, don't forget to subscribe, and if you can find that bell icon, click on it. It might tell you when I'm uploading stuff, depends what YouTube feel like this week. Anyway, what have we got here? It's a bit different, and I thought I'd explain exactly what we've got here. So I was accompanied by a company called Cafago, or maybe Cafago. I wish they'd give me a phonetic spelling of these ones as well, asking if I wanted to take a look at some of their stuff. And I had a look at them, and a lot of them were sort of the basic sort of, I'd say, aerial photography drones, the sort of toy end of things. And I thought there's no good looking at the toy stuff, because generally people sort of want to look for something that, like, they want a DJI quad, but they can't quite afford a DJI quad, so they want to look at what's next best. And I got quite fed up with all these ones that like the software is very bad. They generally fly okay, but they're all sort of, you know, Wi-Fi range within phones, which is about 30 meters, and then you lose signal and you lose everything else, and it's a fixed camera and it's all shaky and all sorts of stuff. But I had a look through their site and I found one, this one, which looked interesting. Why did it look interesting? Well, firstly, it's got a 3-axis gimbal, which is a little bit different for a sort of very basic, much cheaper type of quad. This is about $160 something at the moment. Obviously price will vary and change depending when you look at this video, but that seemed pretty cheap. It seemed to have telemetry on the radio itself, so the radio knows how far you're away and how high you are, and I thought that's pretty well integrated. It says it gets 28 minutes of battery life. Normally manufacturers overstate their battery life, including DJI, but if we get anything like, you know, 18 to 20, that's pretty good flight. Most importantly, it says the remote control distance is 1200 meters, and the image transfer distance, or the FPV view of course, is 800 meters, which is much further than your normal sort of, you know, 100 meters topping out. And that, whilst again not up to DJI standards, is way beyond what most things can do, and for that sort of price I thought this was worth looking at. So here it is, I got it. Let's have a look at what's in the box. Model of this is the SG906. This is the Pro 2. There are several models. The Pro 2 is, I can't remember what's special about it, but it's got a 4K camera. Well, it pictures them here, it doesn't tell you what the difference are from there. Anyway, in the box we get this big piece of covering, and then we get the bits itself. This is the controller. You see it's got this little display down here, which is where it puts the telemetry. It's the sort of normal hold your phone acts as the display and stuff. Under that there's a box of stuff, we'll get to that in a second, because this bit is the actual quad itself, and coming out of the box looks like this. As you can see, bears a lot of similarities to something like the Mavic Air, and it's all folding outable. So let's see if I can just do that. And let's just take this protective cover off. First thing to say about that, it's quite sizable, and it's quite heavyweight. I guess most of that's going to be the 3400 mAh 2S battery, which is presumably this big lump here. And you've got a little catch there, and the battery, presumably, is, yeah, that bit. That's a lot of the weight, but not all of it. It's quite sizable. So it's got its own little proprietary connectors there. So we've got brushless motors with these little foldable props. At the front here, the gimbal cover is on, so let's take that off. And yeah, it is indeed 3-axis. We can tilt, yaw and pan. Underneath we've got some sort of little antenna, and we've got a power button at the back telling me, I think, with these four lights that it's full. But that's as far as I've got. So that's the quad itself. Quite sizable, quite reasonably heavy actually, certainly over 250 grams easily. Back on the radio, these things seem to fold like that, and then this comes up like this, and we've got sort of spring things here so you can put your phone in there. Presumably we're going to find the sticks for this somewhere, and battery bay here, which I presume is a normal like AAA or AA battery. We'll have a look at that in a second, because I'm guessing the extra stuff's going to be in here. So in this box is 11 million languages of instructions. That's the UK one. Little warning thing about the gimbal. Then we've got a couple of bags. This looks like spare props. Yep, spare props. A set of those. Obviously we're trying not to break them. And in the other bag we have a USB lead. Not sure what's that for. I didn't notice a USB port anywhere. Maybe it's for charging the battery. Tiny Phillips screwdriver, presumably for changing the props. And helpfully we've got Some little sticks for the radio, which I would suggest just screw in. They in fact just push in, but make sure they're nice and tight. Obviously this is a sprung radio, so it's normally the case of like down, up, hover, as opposed to like an actual active throttle. Well, that's what comes in the box. What I'm going to do now is go through the instructions, find out what this can do, find out what I need to set up. Presumably there's some sort of compass calibration or something like that where I have to twiddle it around in the air, and then we'll try and take it out for a flight. I've got to get obviously the app installed on the phone and see how that all hooks up and stuff, but I'll see if there's anything noteworthy to tell you about while I do that, and then yeah, let's fly it. Let's see how it performs. So the USB lead is for charging your battery. If you look closely, you'll find a little USB port on the battery. Just plug that into a wall outlet and that will start charging, and you get some useful indicator lights to see how far it's going to go. Basically what you're looking for is all 4 lights to be lit up nice and bright blue. That means it's full. This takes an absolute age. You're looking at about 3 hours to charge via USB here, which is a pretty long time, so make sure you plan your flights in advance. The other thing to note is there's a slot for a micro SD card. This is obviously for onboard recording, which I'd certainly recommend. You can record to your phone, but you'll obviously get the best picture via the onboard SD card. Okay, here we are at the field to test. Not a perfect day. Pretty chilly, no sun out. It's a little bit breezier than I want, but it's not unreasonable. So we've got this guy charged up. Charge takes an age, ready to go. Got my phone on the controller, so I'm going to put the GoPro on my head mount, film a couple of bits there, see if I can do screen recording on the phone, see if I can get as much as possible. There's a lot of features on it though, and I've only got 1 battery, so I don't know if I'll be able to get through them all, but obviously I'll be doing the main sort of flying and seeing how that looks. That's the main bit. Okay, radio powered on. Let's power this guy on. Okay, so we've got telemetry here, so let's get the phone on and make sure we're attached to the network. No, it's got to the Wi-Fi there, that's good. And then we need to open the app, which is this one here. Then we're going to do prepare to fly, so we do the calibration. So click, calibrate the sensor, then we'll have to do the little dance. Okay, so next we do the old horizontal move it around. So for this, I'm going to pop this down here, take stuff out of my pocket, and I'm just going to put the camera down here, which may or may not be able to see me. Click calibrate first. Okay, so here we go. Here's the horizontal one. So let's go vertical. And we are done. So at this point I've realised I'm not doing screen recording, so let's sort that out now. Okay, so that is screen recording. Let's turn on recording there, that's good. I say that, it's got no indication of any satellites as yet. Turn it back off again. So initially it had no satellites, so I sort of waited there for 2 minutes, and just to explain, I made a couple of mistakes here. You saw me turn the recording off. When I got the satellites, I neglected to turn it back on again. Also, the recording mode I've got in SD at the moment instead of HD, which is also not what I wanted to do. But let's jump forward another minute and I'll show you what happens when the satellites came in. Oh, it says here we got 7 sats, but here it says 0. It's a bit weird, isn't it? GPS mode 7. Maybe that beep is saying, hey, guess what? Armed it. Let's take off. So it's in GPS mode, so it should stay relatively still. It's not exactly like a Mavic when it's perfectly still, but we can see from the screen here that our actual view we've got is pretty good, it's pretty stable. If we bring this down, let's have a look at it properly. The yaw is so slow, it's unbelievable. We get up close, we can see the gimbal there doing not a bad job, I think. Certainly seems to do what it should do anyway. Anyway, let's take this out for a bit of a fly, see what happens. I'm going to look half at the drone, half at the screen. So we're interested to know, you know, a little bit about the range, but I'm not intending to take it too far. Pretty smooth looking in the camera in my on my phone, I'm happy to say. I don't know why it's beeping like that. What we've also got on these buttons at the back, we can look up and down. Christ, a bit hard to get to. Like that. Which is also a function of this little slider here. It's a bit jerky when we do that, is what I notice. But that's all good so far. So let's do a quick test of return home, because I want to see how well that works. We've got a thing there and we've got it here. So let's try it on this one first. So it says going home on the screen. Over there it's going up in the air. Not sure how to break it out of going to home if I wanted to. It's still climbing. Its distance here is still 57. Its height. Oh, it's turning around coming towards me now. It's quite nice you've got the height and distance just here. I quite like that. It's overhead. Its distance is 2, its height 21, so it looks like it gets up to 20 meters and then comes on down and then tries to do a descent. Now, how do we break out of this? I don't want it to really land on the grass. It's about a good 10 feet away from where it should be at the moment, but let's see if it corrects itself a little bit more. No, it looks like it's going down there. So yeah, I can push the home button again and it moves out of that. Okay, that bit's fine. So the general return to home function's good. So what else we got here? We've got things like we can do a circle or a if the circle's round me. Let's have a look. We go out a bit further. So if I say look at me and I hit this circle button, what happens? What do I have to do then? Oh, okay. So that sets it going. So it's going up a bit. Oh, good. So what's it going to circle then? Is that it? Oh, I see. So that's its circle. It sort of went out, decided the point of view was where it was, and now it's doing a circle up around me there. I can't quite see myself. Let's just. Yeah, it's not doing a bad job. Obviously, it doesn't know where to point the camera. But yeah, that seems pretty fair. Straight above me at the moment. I've got speed on 100. Okay, let's take it out of that. Cancel circle fly. What else we got here? What's this one? We've got the follow the user. So I think it's this one. Tips. Hang on, that's not it. That's waypoint drawing, which I'm not completely happy about doing at the moment. Where's the follow me stuff? I thought that was this bit. Sending. As far as I know, I think this is supposed to follow the controller. Here I am. Hello. So let's go for a wander. So how it works? I don't honestly know. Right. Oh, okay, so here's this target. i.e. me. Let's just move it up a touch. So, I'm now the target. See if it tracks me okay. So, oh, it's losing me. Come on, you have to move. Are we going? Select the target. I've selected the target. Exit follow mode. Okay. I'm moving away. You have to come and find me. I'm going to go over here. You're doing a good job at knowing where I am, but you don't seem to be turning. It's tracking brilliantly, but I'm just moving around here with a box around me, but I can leave and then it's like, where'd you go? Okay, that's a bit weird. Okay, that's landing. Uh-oh. It's about a spot of rain then. Oh no, it's raining. The rain's come. Hold on. So it stopped again? Oh, what did I do? There was some rain coming down. It seems to have stopped, but I'm not completely sure. Switch to HD. Were you not in HD already? Jesus Christ. There was something else in this, and it said recorded on anti-shaking. Set that to on. Oh. You have to be in SD for anti-shaking. Okay, fair enough. So I managed to record that all in SD. So let's try it again. No, I don't want to do that. Did I not record any of that either? I don't know if I did. How very curious of me. Right. Try it again. So, let's find out how we do on distance. Not stupid far. We haven't got a great deal of battery left, but it's nice you can push the camera up a little bit as well. So distance at the moment is saying is 197, which suddenly jumped to 280, 300, can't see it anymore. .460.
So it's certainly a lot better than any of these other little sort of toy-based quads, because we are at over 600 meters now according to this, and we've still got a good signal, and we can still see what's happening, and we've got no particular lag there, which is all good. We do have a little bit of rain cooling though, which is not so good. So let's come on back. Pretty good image, pretty easy to see. It's fairly free of any sort of jerkiness. The gimbal's doing a fairly good job. It's not on the level of the DJI stuff, obviously, but it's okay. Where are we then? So I can't see us. Oh, there we are. It is quite a narrow camera, so it looks like I'm in the middle of the tree at the moment, but I'm all the way out there. If I bring it down a bit further, we should be able to see. There I am. So, shall we try one of these waypointy things? Non-positioning mode, unable to play trajectory flight, okay. So I've drawn a little point. I can't quite know how far it is, that's the only problem. Let's have a look, and if it seems like it's going too far, we'll take it away. We can swap screens back again. So it's doing a turn. It's going over to presumably what waypoint 1 is. We've got enough juice for this. I think we have. It looks like it's kind of over there. So nearly at waypoint 1. Over quite a lot of trees there. Bit of a worry. In the distance, it is 130 odd meters. It kind of feels like it's got there. Whoa, where's it going? It looked like it was dropping then when it did the turn, which is a bit worrying. But yeah, it's made the turn. It's going along, going off to waypoint 2 now. Yeah, the waypoint mode thing looks alright. Battery looks okay. This figure over here with the interference, I don't know what's good and what's bad. That's the problem there. So I've got the most dangerous route going, because I'm essentially going along the tree line. Oh, it looks along the tree line. When I look back at the picture here, it looks alright. So it's just about to hit waypoint number 2, which is all good there, and then it should essentially come back around here and say hello. I didn't turn this off, did I? No, it's still going. Now, one interesting thing there, I noticed the camera stopped and then started again. Also, whilst I was looking to see if my camera was still recording, the GoPro, I have no idea where it is on the screen, but it seems like it should be coming back vaguely towards me. Why can't I see it? It should be over here somewhere. Oh, there it is, up there. Yeah, so that works pretty well actually. It's just a little bit scary. So let's take it out of that mode now. So we've cancelled point fly. Now, get that back. and we're looking sort of at me. What's it recording? Doesn't seem to be here. Now our battery's looking a bit peaky at the moment. I'm not sure how long I've been flying for. Doesn't feel like it's 28 minutes. It's not bad. In fact, it's now saying low battery to me. So what I'm going to do is use the opportunity to grab some photos of it quick using the camera. No, not photos. Camera. There. Down a bit, you. Down a bit. There we go. That's better. Okay. Always fun to switch the thingy up in the middle. Oh, there I am. Right, low battery. I think we better land. Slow. Even on 100% speed, that yaw is very slow. Anyway, let's bring this guy down. And oh, I've got to try and disarm it. Like so. Alright, so then we stop the recording. And I think we're done. It did a pretty good job, I think. Certainly in terms of the flight characteristics weren't too bad. The stuff we're getting was pretty good. You can see the gimbal doing its job. Again, it's not a DJI drone, but it doesn't have the cost with it either, so not bad at all. Now, in terms of the instructions on this quad, there's a little bit lacking in hard copy instructions. You get the main thing from inside the app itself. It's got sort of 16 pages, some documentation. And I went through this just to make sure I was doing the follow me modes, which I couldn't seem to get working. But I also found there should have been a downward facing camera that I couldn't seem to access. So I decided to take this out in the garden because I wanted to check that the HD recording worked as well, because of course I only managed to do SD recording previously. So let's have a quick look at that now. So I've just popped out of my garden here, and the only difference you'll find is we've definitely got HD on, and you'll see a little black box there. That's just me just retaining some privacy of my GPS coordinates. Now, weirdly enough, it's on HD, and the resolution it records at is 2048 by 1088, which is exactly the same resolution as SD records on. Both of them have an identical data rate, and they both get about 24.75 frames per second. So I'm guessing it should be 25 frames, but it's not quite getting that. Maybe it's dropping the odd one. But yeah, so that was a bit surprising for me. I went out here especially figuring this would be the 4K mode, but if it's there, I'm unable to find it. Now, what I've just tried to do is swap over to a different camera, and it says it's recording. So I have to stop recording, then I can choose something else. And you see me switching the lens here. And then I just have to start my recording off so I can actually show you what we got. And this downwards facing camera is 720p. And unfortunately, it's a bit windy today, so I can't really take it up very high in my garden. But you can tell the camera's not at all stabilized, of course, because it's not on the gimbal. So I guess if you're at a sort of a large height and you want to take individual photos from it, then that's okay. Otherwise, it can be a little bit nasty looking in my opinion. Interestingly enough, there are a few options when you actually click on that change camera icon.
you've got the option to use part of your phone's camera or the drone cameras or a split screen between the two of them. I suppose it's quite interesting if you were ever going to do any sort of blogging or anything. You might want to have half your face on the camera and perhaps half what your drone is seeing, and you can see some of the options you've got there. But that aside, don't know what I'm doing wrong, but yeah, I can't find any HD footage there, or more HD. It's not like it's not doing 1080p, it's just not doing 4K. Well, there you go. This was the SG906 Pro 2. It's pretty big to hold here, so I'm just going to pop it down a sec. So, did it do everything it said it would? No, not quite. You saw we had a lot of fun trying to make the follow me mode work. Not quite sure what I was doing right. That's something I think you'd have to play with and figure out exactly what you had to do, because the documentation there was a little bit lacking. I seemed to be doing everything it said, but it just wasn't following me. It like it wasn't initiating it. You could see it tracking me, but it just wasn't following. Also, the fact that I didn't seem to be able to film in 4K for any particular reason. I don't know why. It says it's got a 4K camera, but the resolution it's filming in, no matter if you have it in SD or HD, is 2048 by 1088. So it's slightly above what 1080p is. It's a bit of a weird resolution, to be honest, but yeah, that's not quite there. And the flight time says it did 28 minutes. I didn't expect that to be true. I went back, I looked at my screen recording, I looked at all the time it was in the air on that single battery, and it obviously took off the bit where we landed and took off again. I got 16 minutes 45 seconds, which is, I was looking for maybe about 18-20 minutes to be super happy. 16:45 is not bad. If I was going to get something like this, I'd certainly want more than one battery, because it does take a long time to charge. But let's talk about what we liked about this thing. And I described this as a toy grade model. It's not quite there in the hobby thing, but it's the first one I've seen which has a fairly decent 3-axis gimbal. You could see on the image we were getting there, it was fairly free of jerkiness. It wasn't completely still, but it wasn't bad. I also really like this controller. I like it because it's got this little bit here which tells you your satellites and your height and your distance from home, and your batteries on this controller and the quad itself. Small thing, but it's the first controller I've actually been able to get my phone in with the case on. With my Mavic Air, I have to decase my phone before it go in there. But what really stood this out instead of the other sort of toy grade quads like this is the distance both in control and FPV. We took this to over 600 meters. There was no lag in the control. We had a good picture, not a problem at all, and I fully believe that this would go to 1 kilometer if you wanted to. Ignoring the fact that this did SD and HD in the same resolution, I found the picture from it a little bit soft. Certainly in the distance it didn't have very good contrast. It's not an amazing camera. It was nicer up close. It was okay. You know, you wouldn't look at those and think this is the worst thing ever, but it depends on what level of expectation you had going into it. So is this like a DJI quad? And the answer is absolutely not. If you take the base level DJI, the Mavic Mini, this will outperform this on every single area. But you could buy 2.5 of these for the price it costs for a Mavic Mini. So that's where it is. It's in the toy grade. You don't have to spend a lot for it. If you want to sort of get a taster for what this is like and you want to go to a more professional aerial quad in the future, you can do. I wouldn't hesitate putting this in the hands of a sort of a younger teenager, not worrying about the fact that they're going to crash or fly away on a very much more expensive one. So it's pretty good for that sort of thing. So yeah, this sort of thing has its own market. It's, if you want professional aerial photography, this is not it. If you want to fly around, have a bit of fun, but you don't want to go the sort of acro route of flying, you just want it nice and easy and maybe build up to something in the future, maybe this is a quad that you'll be interested in. But in the meantime, this has been the ZLRC Beast SG906 Pro 2. What a very catchy name, and was kindly supplied by Cafago for review, and you can of course find links down below for where you can check it out in more detail. I hope that review's been helpful. It was certainly a long one, wasn't it? I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now. Well, you've made it to the end of the video, so thanks once again for watching. If you like what you saw, then please consider subscribing, and if you really like what you saw, then be sure to check out the link to my blog for a variety of ways in which you can help support this channel.